Coming off the heels of the blind ranking episode that we did a couple of weeks ago, and again, huge thank you goes out to Billy and Ren and Paul and Kate for joining me on that blind ranking. It kind of got me thinking that we all have shows specifically in this thought bubble, television shows that we love, and we all have different shows that we love, different genres of things that we love. I don't think, pretty sure most of you know, put it that way, just judging from the surroundings behind me and the name of this podcast. My biggest television show love is, of course, Star Trek. And I've had tons of other ones throughout my life as well. I mean, as a little kid, I loved the Saturday morning shows like Land of the Lost and stuff like that. I would literally run off the bus every single day when I was probably 8 or 10 years old to run from the bus into the house so I could get in with enough time to watch either Ultraman or Johnny Sacco and his flying robot. And that kind of shows my age a little bit. I was catching reruns on a local independent station. Again, showing my age there because younger viewers or listener of this wouldn't understand what the hell an independent station is. But back in the day, we used to have the networks. You had the ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox. And then you'd have a handful of other stations that were considered independent stations. They weren't affiliated with any network. And most of their programming were reruns for the most part. So I'd run off the bus when I was a kid to get inside to turn on Channel 20 and watch Ultraman or Johnny Sacco and his flying robots. And it was Ultraman on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Johnny Sacco on Tuesday and Thursday. As I got older, I fell in love with Star Trek. I've told everyone the story about that before. And I've always loved Star Trek. But there were other shows too. In my preteens, the preteen era was right when Star Wars really was released. So, of course, I love that. But then they came out with Battlestar Galactica, and I really love that show. And then Buck Rogers shortly after that. Really love that show. In the 80s, as I was a teenager, things like the miniseries V, you're kind of catching a pattern of the things that I like, I'm assuming, on here. It's predominantly science fiction. But the miniseries V, I really love that. And then into the 90s, when the X-Files came out, I really, really loved that show. But there is one show that I can honestly say is probably if I was forced to sit down and make a list of my own 5 favorite TV shows, if I couldn't list all 5 Star Trek shows, which I probably wouldn't anyways. I love all the Star Trek shows, but I don't know if I'd put all of them in the top 5. Original series, absolutely. Next Generation might make it in there. But anyway, that's a podcast for another day. But there's another show that came out in the late 90s. It's technically still on to this day. That would probably be one of my top 5 favorite shows all time. And sort of the reason it got me thinking about this show in general was because of a passive comment somebody made at the day job. Because, it's 90% men that work at my day job. So I'm not going to give you the old, it's all locker room humor conversation. There is some of that, trust me. But it's a lot of immature, put it that way, conversation because it's male dominated surroundings. So a lot of laughing, a lot of joking, a lot of picking on each other. Your pretty standard male dominated scenario. But we were talking about this show, and another guy made a comment about, you guys loving all these cartoons and stuff. And I'm like, well, first off, um, yeah, it's a cartoon, but you immediately say cartoon and think kids show. That's kind of how he was inferring his comment. And there's a ton of cartoons out there that, especially these days, over the past, say, 25, 30 years, kind of beginning with The Simpsons. I know what happened before The Simpsons. The Flintstones predominantly was a primetime cartoon as well, but the humor wasn't like it is today, an adult oriented humor like some of the cartoons today, like The Simpsons and Family Guy, and even Animaniacs in the early to mid 90s was made for kids, but it had a lot of great adult oriented humor in it. But the show we were talking about started in the late 90s, and it technically is still on to this day. At least they just wrapped up yet another season. I'm not sure if they're going to do more or not, but the show I'm talking about is Futurama. That is without a doubt, and probably doesn't surprise anybody, that Futurama is one of my favorite all time television shows, cartoon or not, because it covers just about every single little base that I call a something that I admire, something that I love. Futurama pretty much covers everything. Clearly, it's science fiction based because it's set in the future. So that's got it covered. I also am somebody that really loves referential humor. I love when people make references in a humorous format. So Futurama is known for doing that too. I also love sort of social commentary made in a humorous manner, specifically historical social commentary. So that's another check mark for Futurama. I loved how the show paid homage or homage, depending on how you want to say that word, to the things that clearly the writers and the creators of the show knew and loved growing up. They pay a lot of homage to a lot of the things within Futurama. And the science fiction aside, I just love the damn show. So that's what we're going to do on this episode is kind of take a little look back at one of my favorite shows of all time, Futurama. I could just sit here and talk about episode after episode after episode, but I thought that might get a little boring to some people. So, what I did is I went and found a few clips of episodes, and I'll probably interject about other episodes within watching the clips. But or if you're listening to the podcast, hearing the clips. But the thing of great about Futurama is I'll give you the quick little version if you don't know the story of Futurama. Futurama was created after The Simpsons became a huge success for Fox. They, of course, like studios do, they want to cash in on a hot name. And Matt Groening, who created The Simpsons, was, of course, the hot name. So Fox asked him, do you have any other ideas of shows that you might be interested in doing? And he explained how he always wanted to do kind of a science fiction cartoon, but he wanted to sort of have it in the guise of your old 40s and 50s, how science fiction was portrayed back in the 40s and 50s. He wanted to do a cartoon patterned on that sort of. So, of course, being a huge success with The Simpsons, and he came up with this idea, Fox said, sure, let's do it. So, in the late 90s, Futurama debuted, and it was a slow burn. It didn't do very well for the first season, but they gave him a second season, and that's really where it kind of caught its legs, is in that second season. And it stayed on the Fox network for another season, and then it got canceled. It's going to be kind of a running gag. Same thing happened to Family Guy, too. It gets canceled. It's off for a year. Then it comes back. They bring it back. And it's on Fox for another season. And it doesn't necessarily get canceled, but they didn't want to air it on network TV anymore. So they started showing it on Comedy Central. So it moved from Fox over to Comedy Central. And then it got canceled again from Comedy Central. But they knew that there was a huge viewing audience, but they didn't want to have to sort of pay for an entire season. So they contracted them to make 4 Futurama movies. So that sort of became the next season on Comedy Central. They made these 4 movies, which essentially ended up being a full season, anyways. And it got canceled again after that. But they kind of did an inside joke and set it up to where they ended the show joking that this was it. But they left a little sliver in there saying, we won't be surprised if we're back. Then, sure enough, a couple of years later, they're back. And it ran for a few more years and it got canceled again, or ended. They kind of ended the show at this point. And it was off for almost 10 years. And then a couple of years ago, they came back and did a couple more seasons. So Futurama's been on for a very long time. Doesn't have quite the episode number that a show that's been on theoretically for 26 years doesn't quite have the amount of episodes, but there's a lot of gaps in between some of those seasons. So let's just enjoy some footage of some of the great episodes of Futurama.
Remember, don't show any reaction to his appearance.
I hope that's vanishing cream, because that needs to go away. Oh, that's cold-blooded.
Shh!
It's okay, I understand. My unusual appearance makes people nervous. You used humor to diffuse the tension.
Yep, and there's still a little more tension, so look out. Ahem. You so ugly, when trick-or-treaters come to your house, they give you candy. You so ugly, when you go to the bank, they ask you to put on a ski mask. You so ugly, you cracked the Daily Mirror. It's a newspaper.
I wish it weren't so, but many of these things are true. Anyhow, you've lowered my self-esteem a bit more, but I'm sincerely grateful you came all this way to deliver my fungus chisel.
Don't feel bad, sir. It's not your fault. You probably just inherited your appearance from your mother.
What? No one insults my mama!
That show was so brilliant, and part of the brilliance of Futurama is the fact that the writing team, and it's kind of common knowledge for people that are fans of the show, but the writing team is filled. The writing room is filled with Ivy League, very smart writers. So within the humor that you heard there, there's always a lot of, I don't want to say sophistication, but smart humor per se. And one of the beautiful things about it, there's so much science humor involved too. You'll see scenes of like this alienese writing, or you get, computer language that, people will figure out. Someone actually transcribed the whole alienese writing and figured out that they all say something. But the binary language, you'll get zeros and ones when specifically with Bender, and they always have something to say. So there's always that deep hidden humor as well within the show. And that's one of the great things about Futurama to me is it's not just funny, it's smart funny.
Can't say the next word!
Up yours, chump. I said it 906 times before lunch.
Bender, if you say the A word, you'll blow this whole planet straight to the H word. Ah!
Young man, you have the bravery of a hero and breath as fresh as a summer ham. What is funny?
Bender's got the upper hand now. The name of the game is make Bender happy or he blows up the planet.
War is the H word is if I was forced to sit down and create a top 5 episodes of Futurama, that would easily be in the top 5. It's one of those shows. It's kind of like me doing a top 5 for Star Trek. I don't know if I could do it because my favorites switch all the time, but War is the H word is such a brilliant episode that, yeah, it's got everything in it. It's got, like I said, the callback humor, like you saw the Kissinger head in a jar there. It has, I don't know specifically who did the voice, but it was kind of a mashup of MASH, and they had a robot surgeon, and whoever did the voice was doing it as Hawkeye from MASH or Alan Alda. Whoever did that voice did a spot on Alan Alda impression, and it's such a brilliant, funny episode. But yeah, I could just gush about War is the H word for hours upon hours, but I'll stop.
My fellow Earthicans, as I discuss in my book, Earth in the Balance, and the much more popular Harry Potter and the Balance of Earth, we need to defend our planet against pollution, as well as dark wizards.
Sure, blame the wizards.
That's why I'm offering a bag of moon sapphires to the first scientist who can solve this problem once and for all. Lovely, aren't they?
Sapphires? With those, I could open the gate of Garash.
That's one of the great things about Al Gore. You can like him or not for his political stance, but he definitely bought into shedding light on himself, specifically on Futurama. On more than one occasion, he made an appearance. So, in a weird kind of way, he became a voice actor after his political days were over. But he didn't shy away from it. He was kind of tongue in cheek, shed light on his perceived of the way people perceived him, I guess. And that's another thing that I loved about Futurama is because not only Al Gore, but Richard Nixon has a prominent role in Futurama, and it's portraying him specifically like kind of history has perceived him after the fact, but it's times 1,000 to make it more funny. So that kind of humor is stuff that I really, really love. And Futurama nails it.
Stay back! This embassy is sovereign mud of the mud planet Decapad-10. Invading these mud premises is an act of war!
Well, what are you gonna do about it, Shrimpy?
Attack Earth!
Now the rubber band's on the other claw.
Retreat!
Double agent may be aboard this very ship. I'm watching you. You, Ensign, what's your name?
Hugh Man, sir.
Now that's a name I can trust. Run down to the central battle.
See, that is the brilliance. Just having something stupid and brilliant at the same time. Hugh Man, sir. And it's just maybe that humor might not be for everyone, but to me, that is just utter brilliance.
Computer and enter these codes. Chop, chop.
Sir, there's something about that ensign that's...
You're damn right there is. That strapping young lad's gunning for your job, and he just might get it.
All planetary defenses have been disabled. Perhaps the Decapodians acquired our secret codes somehow.
What the hell is this dirt pile we're building anyhow?
None of your beeswax, slave. Just focus on globbing that mud.
See, I should just, if I wouldn't get in trouble from Fox, I would just, do a reaction video watching an episode, but I would just spend the entire time mouthing all of the dialogue and everything, because we all have those movies or TV shows that we know by heart. I have probably, I won't say the latter seasons, but at least the early seasons through the movie season that I talked about, I have probably seen those episodes, and probably the Rebirth season too. I know I'm getting too nerdy on everyone, but I've probably seen them all at least 50 times. So much so that I can almost recite the dialogue as it's getting said. But one of the great things about Futurama is it's one of those shows, and maybe it's because it's a cartoon, is you can watch it 50 times and you know the jokes that are coming, but there's so much stuff in the background that every once in a while you pick out something, a gag or something that's in the background that you never really noticed before. And that's one of the beautiful things about it. Not necessarily an Easter egg, but just stuff that's been there the whole time and you never knew it was there.
You know, all in all, I had a good life. What do you say the three of us grab a six-pack and watch the universe end?
Here, here.
That's basically what I do every day.
To the end of the universe. So long, Earth. Thanks for the air and whatnot. Whoa. Hey, what was the purpose of life anyway?
Who knows? Probably some hogwash about the human spirit.
Sounds about right.
That episode, there is a scene I mentioned my love of historical humor. They're in a time machine. So at that point in the episode, they find out that everything is cyclical. So after they sat there until the universe ended, another big bang came, and they had to go through time to get back to their time. Well, while they were doing it, the professor decided he wanted to change history, so he took a ray gun, was going to shoot Hitler as they went through the 1930s. And he accidentally hit Eleanor Roosevelt by mistake, so they had to go all the way through time a second time for him to kill Hitler. So that's the kind of humor that I love, and probably a main reason why I loved that show so very, very much. And my friend Jason and I have talked, since he's a huge fan too, about how these later seasons that they have done haven't been as good. They've been funny, there's been humorous parts to it, but they haven't been quite as memorable as, say, the first few seasons were. And that could just be a case of us being nostalgic about a show that we love so very, very much, that we hold so much reverence about those early seasons, because those are the seasons where we fell in love with the show. So maybe that's it. And maybe at some point down the line, we'll rewatch these later seasons and find some connection with them. But hey, are there television shows that you love so very much that you watch them over and over and over again, like I do with Star Trek and Futurama? Because I would honestly say there's probably other shows, maybe not. Futurama might be number 2 in my countdown, because when it comes to me rewatching stuff, it's predominantly Star Trek and Futurama, specifically the original series Star Trek and Star Trek the animated series, that I watch over and over and over again. I rewatch the other Star Trek shows too, but not quite to the frequency that I watch the original series and the animated series and Futurama. There was a long spell of my life where I would go to sleep to Futurama. I would put it on. It's one of those things where you know it so well that you can just shut your mind off and just go to sleep to it because you know it so well. So, are there shows like that for you? If there are, let me know in the comments. Or maybe you are a huge fan of Futurama too. If there are, let me know in the comments what some of your favorite episodes are. And as usual, I don't have a closer for this podcast. I could do a cheesy Bender impression and say, We're back, baby. But I'm just going to play that last video again because it's got the perfect little closing line.
You know, all in all, I had a good life. What do you say the three of us grab a six-pack and watch the universe end?
Hear, hear.
That's basically what I do every day.
To the end of the universe. So long, Earth. Thanks for the air and whatnot. Hey, what was the purpose of life anyway?
Who knows? Probably some hogwash about the human spirit.
Sounds about right.